Okay guys, so the first step is to put your bookcase together. IKEA has pretty straightforward instructions. Just go ahead and leave the doors off as you're putting together the shelving system. Do everything except leave those doors off. It'll make it much easier to do all the different steps we're about to do for this IKEA Billy Bookcase Hack. So first of all, I got this 2x4. It's a 1/4 of an inch thick MDF, and I'm finding the middle. I'm going to draw a straight line right down the middle, and this is going to give me 2 arch pieces for 1 bookcase. So I had to buy 2 pieces of MDF, and it all worked out for me. So I also figured out how long I wanted my arches to be. I want them to fill in the upper top glass pieces of the Billy bookcase. I decided I'll just do 2 rip cuts all together and just get it all done. So when you're doing this, I, for some reason, only drew 1 arch. I decided how far I wanted to go down, and I'll put all those measurements in the description, so please check that out. But I made all my measurements, and then all it took is a thumbtack and a piece of string and a pencil just to get that really nice arch. And I marked the spots where this is the thickness I wanted it to be at the top of the glass. And I played around with it to make sure that my pencil would line up. As you can see, I have my middle line right there, and I have my starting point. I'm just kind of testing it. I'm not drawing yet. I'm kind of feeling out where it's going to go. I want to make sure that the arch hits the 2 spots that I want it to hit. Again, I will put those measurements if you like the thickness of my arch. Now, once the arch starts to straighten out, that's when I'm going to just cut a straight line. So I went ahead and just used a level to do that for my straight edge. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Now, I went outside and I used my circular saw, and I love this Craig guide. It just allows me to do perfectly straight cuts with my circular saw, and that way I don't have to use a table saw. I don't like my table saw, but see, I just removed the bottom part, and now I'm going to have the perfect height for the top portion of the Billy bookcase. And then I'm just ripping it down the center, and this gives me the 2 pieces of the arch. Now, I went ahead and just cut 1 arch. I wanted to see how it fit. I want to make sure it was good before I cut the whole MDF. As you can see, I got it trimmed out. There's a little bit extra there on the width. So I lined it all up, and then I took a pencil, traced it, and then used a jigsaw to cut out that arch. Now, if you go nice and slow and have a good blade, you'll be fine. Now, here are the doors. You are going to need to just rough it up a little bit. I used a 220 grit sanding sponge, and you have to get in that angle there, so make sure you get the angle. And now I did not sand that outside border because I decided to paint mine white. That way it just was easier, and I just painted the front. Now you're going to want to clean up all that dust. I just like using a microfiber washcloth. Next step is getting the pole wrap done. Now, I already measured the height. I used my miter saw and just chopped it where I needed it. And then this is paper backed, and so you can just use a utility knife to cut where you need it. Now, there will be some gaps, and I just use caulking to fill those gaps. Next step is using an all-purpose construction adhesive. I like Gorilla Glue brand, and you just do a zigzag pattern all over, and that's it. And you need to set it pretty soon. The instructions do tell you how long you have to set it. So once I set it down, stacked some books. Once that is dry in 24 hours, I use this Jasco Mask and Peel just on my glass. You want to do this before you add the special primer that allows you to paint IKEA furniture. And it also acts as a primer, so don't worry if it gets on your arch or the IKEA frame there. It doesn't matter. It actually produces a nice primer also. Once the white turns clear the masking is dry, ready to go. Now this is the most crucial part. I used Zinsser Bin primer. This is the primer you're gonna need to be able to paint your IKEA frame. Now I used a brush to paint on the pull wrap bottom portion of the bookcase cabinet, and then I used the brush to do the MDF also, but I used a roller to roll on the primer all over the flat portion on the IKEA cabinet. I didn't want brush lines, I just wanted a nice smooth finish. And so use a brush to get in the nooks and crannies, and then use a sponge roller on everything else. Now once your primer is dry, then go ahead and do your 2 coats of your final paint color, and that's what I did. I used Sherwin Alabaster. Now you're just going to use a utility knife, razor blade, whatever you have that's safe, and you're going to score the edge of that masking. You can see it turned clear because it's dry now, and you don't need to press too hard, but you do need to use a nice new blade and get all the way through that masking. Now be aware that a good utility knife or razor blade, it will cut marks in your glass, so be careful. And then you can just peel it away. Now you're going to notice if the masking isn't thick enough, it stays on the glass. So no problem, just use a razor blade and get off any little paint specks and masking that sticks on. And that's it, you guys. I went ahead and attached the drawers, added my hardware, and I love the way it looks. The bottom portion hides all the storage knick-knack toys stuff, and the top portion shows through, and you can style these beautifully. I like the white, it's classic. It goes with the IKEA desk in the middle there, and it really just looks elevated in this space. And I got those cute knobs from Etsy, so check the description for that as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.